Vol 1CH 72. Just standing at the doorway, they thought there was a bit of fun here, but they didn't expect there to be even more hidden mysteries inside. Firstly, upon entering the room, a delicate fragrance wafted into their noses. It wasn't overpowering, but it gave a sense of blissful relaxation. Then, Leon walked into the transparent glass-walled bathroom, only to find that there was no shower curtain to separate it from the rest of the room. Moreover, the angle of the showerhead was directly facing the large bed in the room. Coincidentally, the layout and furnishings of this room were very simple, with almost no corners or blind spots in sight. In other words, whatever they did in this room would be clearly visible to each other. Naturally, this included taking a shower. Aside from the unconventional shower setup, there was a bathtub in the bathroom big enough to accommodate 2 people, plus a tail. The bathtub itself wasn't much to remark about. But what was intriguing was that Isabella had scattered rose petals inside it. And she had intentionally arranged them into the shape of a heart. It seemed like Big Sister knew nothing, and yet knew everything. Leon didn't dare linger in the bathroom for too long and quickly walked out. If he stayed a moment longer, who knows, he might have stumbled upon something even more stimulating. That would have been an awkward situation to walk into, awkwardness to the max. After leaving the bathroom, Leon saw Rosvitha standing by the window, gazing into the distance with a blank expression. Leon walked over to her side, glanced at her, then followed her gaze, but there was nothing particularly noteworthy in sight. It seemed like she was just indulging in her usual queen's daydreaming. The two stood side by side for a while, and Leon spoke first. "Your sister is indeed quite mischievous," Leon said, "but she's been good to me. It's the first time since you captured me that I've felt like I have a comrade." Upon hearing this, Rosvitha snorted coldly. "I've known my sister for 200 years, you've only known her for 2 hours. Just wait, you won't be able to escape either." "I'm not afraid," Leon retorted. Rosvitha glanced at him but didn't say anything more. She withdrew her gaze, turned around and walked to the wardrobe in the room, intending to find some sleepwear. Every time she stayed overnight at Isabella's house as a guest, Isabella would carefully prepare everything Rosvitha needed. However, this time, when Rosvitha opened the wardrobe, she was stunned. It wasn't that Isabella had forgotten to prepare, but rather, she had prepared too much. Seeing Rosvitha standing in front of the wardrobe, Leon curiously walked over. Then, he was dumbfounded too. The smile on his face vanished instantly. In the spacious wardrobe, the upper tier was filled with various uniforms, black stockings, and lingerie, the kind that would make people blush even if they weren't worn, while the middle and lower tiers were filled with various toys. Candles, blindfolds, delicate chains, small whips. Even handcuffs were there. Rosvitha reached out, her slender fingers tracing over each piece of lingerie. Then she picked up a small whip from below, held it in her hand, and gave it a flick, making a crisp sound. Raising her gaze, Rosvitha smirked playfully at Leon. "I said you wouldn't be able to escape." Leon took a half step back in fright, looking at the whip in Rosvitha's hand, swallowing hard. "Why, you're not really thinking of using these toys, are you?" Rosvitha shrugged. "Who knows, what if?" As she spoke, she leaned closer to Leon, continuously shaking the whip in her hand. "I want to try out a new plaything." "Your idea is great, but I suggest you don't think about it anymore." Leon quickly took the small whip from her hand and threw it back into the cabinet, then promptly closed the cabinet door. Rosvitha chuckled. "What's wrong? Are you planning to sleep in these clothes?" "What's wrong? Are you planning to sleep in the clothes from this wardrobe?" Leon retorted. "Why, are you afraid you won't be able to resist me if I wear them?" Rosvitha teased. Leon snorted and muttered, "I can resist even if you wear a bunny suit." "What did you say?" Rosvitha didn't catch it clearly. "Nothing, I'm tired, I want to sleep." "No sleeping without a bath." Before Rosvitha could finish her sentence, Leon leaped onto the bed like a carp, but in the instant he jumped, he was enveloped by something soft. Leon froze, feeling the movement under the bed. Is this still a water bed? At that moment, Leon seemed to have an epiphany. If Isabella could transform a dragon playground into a sister's room, then she could also turn a couple's SM-themed suite into a marital chamber. Transparent bathroom, petal-filled bathtub, sexy lingerie along with various props, and now even a water bed. It's hard not to suspect what the real purpose of the elder sister inviting them here might be. Leon suddenly recalled the look Isabella gave him and Rosvitha when she closed the door just now. It was like locking up two endangered animals, waiting for them to mate, reproduce, and revitalize the species. Only then would that look appear. Leon bounced on the waterbed, looking blankly at Rosvitha. Obviously, Rosvitha also gradually realized her sinister sister's intentions. It's not even bedtime yet, and she's already up to so much mischief. Rosvitha couldn't help but wonder, when it's actually time to sleep, will even more exciting things pop up? And the most deadly thing is not these external factors. The most deadly thing is herself and Leon. Before, when they slept together, it was because they had no choice. But now, lying together purposelessly for a whole night, this has never happened before. They've always slept separately. How can she possibly fall asleep? And what if this guy steals the blanket at night, or has nightmares and kicks his legs, or treats her like a teddy bear and hugs her? This is all risking Rosvitha's life. With Rosvitha weighed down by worries and Leon equally hesitant, as the saying goes, accompanying a king is like accompanying a tiger, but if he really had to spend the night with this mother dragon, he'd rather sleep with a tiger. Anyway, ultimately, the relationship between these two is very delicate. What should have been done wasn't done, and what shouldn't have been done has all been done. This has led to the awkward situation of kids running around everywhere, but still acting shy like it's their first love. Wait a minute, kids. The husband and wife exchanged glances and instantly reached an agreement. But Leon seized the opportunity and took the lead. The daughters must be missing me. I'll go play with them. Rosvitha didn't argue either. As long as she didn't have to sleep on the same bed with him tonight, she'll let him say whatever he wants. Leon left the room and went to the door of the sister's room. He was just in, knocking on it. The sound of little footsteps inside quickly approached. It was Mewan who opened the door. "Daddy, you're not asleep yet, Mewan." "No, Aunt Isabella is playing with me and my sister Tilda." Upon hearing this, Leon was taken aback. Isabella is here too. Why would she be here? Could it be she anticipated that either Leon or Rosvitha would use the excuse of accompanying the children and then sleep separately? With doubts in his mind, Leon picked up Mewan and walked into the sister's room. Sure enough, on the carpet, Isabella was holding Noya, playing with some kind of puzzle blocks. Noya is so smart. Is she smart like Daddy or Mommy? Isabella pinched Noya's little cheeks, not sparing her praise. "Like Aunt," Noya replied. "Oh, little Noya is so articulate. Let Aunt give you a kiss, Tilda." With that, Isabella planted a big kiss on Noya's face. "Ah, the milky scent of the little dragon, so refreshing, Tilda." "Sis, what are you guys playing?" Leon smoothly joined the trio's game. He sat down cross-legged, holding Mewan. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" Isabella didn't answer Leon directly, but asked back. "Oh, I wanted to come and accompany the daughters, afraid they wouldn't recognize the bed and couldn't sleep." Leon fabricated an excuse. "They won't, they're very obedient. They won't have trouble sleeping, right, Noya?" "See, Noya even said, ma, so there shouldn't be a problem." "Sis, maybe you don't understand Noya. Whenever you ask her a question, most of the time she just replies with, right, Noya." "No, laid on. I'm your dad. I've known you for 2 months, and you've known her for only 2 hours, and yet you're siding with her like this. So it's enough for me to accompany the good Barbies here. You go back and enjoy your time alone with little Lo." "Isabella, is this your true intention, big sis?" Mewan wagged her little tail in Leon's arms. "Mommy and Daddy are sleeping together, Tilda, yay, Tilda." Leon patted her head with the little tuft of hair. "Children shouldn't say such things." "Mewan, come to Aunt Isabella." Isabella beckoned to Mewan. Mewan immediately abandoned her old father and ran towards Isabella. Isabella hugged her from both sides, wearing a genuine auntie smile. "All right, hurry back, don't keep little Lo waiting." That's the eviction order issued. Leon's lifeless, not even a spark left in him. He had no reason to linger here any longer. He simply stood up, muttered, "Have fun," and returned to the couple's suite he had just left. Risvitha lay on the waterbed, leaning against the headboard. By now she had changed into a relatively normal nightgown, although it was still a bit short. She used a pillow to cover her legs. Her hair was still damp, indicating she had just finished showering. The sheer nightgown hugged her sensual curves, making one's blood boil. The queen crossed her arms, seemingly anticipating Leon's defeat. 15 minutes, you didn't even last 15 minutes, Risvitha remarked. Your sister was there too. She managed to sway Neuer and Muin to her side. They didn't even speak up for me, Leon defended himself. Risvitha chuckled lightly. HMPH, and you say the daughters like you the most. Please tell me, what do they like about you, keeping your distance? Leon shrugged. You've got time to mock me, why don't you go try it yourself? I will try, and I'm sure the daughters won't treat me like that. Leon bent down, extending his hand in a please gesture. Risvitha pushed the door and left. In a blink, he pushed the door open again. The whole ordeal didn't even last 30 seconds. Clap, clap, clap. Leon leisurely clapped his hands, mimicking Risvitha's tone from earlier. The daughters definitely wouldn't treat me like that, tilde. Risvitha attempted to explain. I can't go find the children dressed like this, can I? Then why don't you change into normal clothes? I can't, I've already taken a shower. Leon sighed, getting to the point. So, how are we sleeping tonight? Risvitha's gaze swept around the room, realizing that aside from the waterbed, the only place to lie down was the bathtub. Leon also noticed this. So here's the question. Who's sleeping in the bathtub? The couple looked at each other and said simultaneously. After a brief exchange of glances, Risvitha said, You sleep. Me, come on, the bathtub is filled with water. If I sleep in there for the night, the next day you'll see a handsome and dashing floating corpse. Well, can't you just drain the water and then lie down? Leon blinked as if waking from a dream. Oh, you make a good point. Risvitha silently facepalmed, idiot. After sorting it out, Risvitha and Leon each headed to their respective nests for the night. Risvitha had never experienced this kind of intimate novelty before, so she felt a bit awkward lying down, quickly pulling the covers over herself. She leaned against the headboard, watching Leon walk into the transparent bathroom and then fumbling around in the bathtub. A moment later, Leon walked out of the bathroom with an indescribable sense of helplessness on his face. Risvitha scrutinized him. What's wrong? Your elder sister blocked the bathtub drain. Risvitha. Since she could predict that we might sleep in separate rooms, she must have predicted other possibilities, such as one person sleeping in the bed and the other in the bathtub, Leon explained. So she sealed off the bathtub drain in advance. Leon considered himself quite cunning. After all, reaching the level of a top dragon slayer required a clever mind, but he never expected to be manipulated by Risvitha's relative like this today. They were now like two hamsters trapped on a spinning wheel. No matter how hard they tried to struggle, they couldn't escape. Risvitha also felt utterly helpless. My sister is getting more cunning by the day. Leon spread his arms. So what do we do now? Risvitha looked at the enormous water bed beneath her, and then at the dragon slayer who had nowhere to sleep. After a moment of brainstorming, she clenched the bedsheet, bit her lip and whispered, Come up here and sleep. Where? On the bed. With you. Risvitha couldn't bear to look at him. With me. The mischievous thoughts in Leon's mind surged again, and he repeated incredulously, You want me to sleep with you on the same bed? Are you going to sleep or not? If you don't, you won't be sleeping tonight at all. We'll play with every toy in the wardrobe. How does that sound? Risvitha threatened. Leon quickly dove onto the bed, only to be kicked off by Risvitha. Go take a shower, get in bed after you're done, she commanded. Leon rolled his eyes, patted his bottom, and headed to the bathroom. Before undressing, he leaned against the door, scratching his head. You're not going to peek, are you? Who would peek at you, idiot? Risvitha replied, using a pillow to block her view directly. A few seconds later, the sound of running water filled the bathroom. Risvitha remained vigilant, keeping the pillow in place to shield her eyes. The Silver Dragon Queen, she delivers what she promises. Wait a minute. He's my prisoner, why does he get to make demands? I've seen every inch of him, what haven't I seen? The decision is mine, if I want to look, I'll look. Better not. There's really nothing interesting to see, I've seen it all before. It's not like I'm scared. With one black and one white little Risvitha chirping incessantly on her shoulders, Risvitha decided to bury her head under the covers. A few minutes later, the water stopped, followed by the gentle swaying of the water bed and the pleasant scent of shower gel wafting into the covers. He must have climbed onto the bed. Only then did Risvitha poke her head out from under the covers. She glanced sideways at Leon. Fortunately, the water bed was large enough, leaving a considerable distance between him and her. This is probably the only miscalculation Isabella made. She thought that preparing a supersized water bed would be enough for this couple to thrash around on, but it only served to establish a clearer boundary between them, where neither could touch the other. As the night grew darker, the entire Red Dragon Temple fell into silence. The estranged couple lay unusually awake, staring at the ceiling with bright eyes. Despite the late hour, it was evident from their breathing patterns that neither had fallen asleep. Yet, it had been 2 hours since they lay down. Leon had a premonition that if things continued like this, they wouldn't be sleeping in another 2 hours either, so he attempted small talk to alleviate the subtle tension between them. "Hey." "What?" Risvitha responded. "Where's your tail?" "Why?" "Just asking, I didn't see your tail when we lay down earlier." "I tucked it away," Risvitha replied. "Dragons automatically retract their tails when lying down or asleep." Leon pondered for a moment before asking again, "What if you forget? Would it get squashed?" Risvitha gave him a disdainful glance. "Do you forget to breathe when you sleep?" "Oh, I see." "Yeah." With that, the educational small talk came to an end. The two fell into silence again. The room was so quiet that only their breathing and heartbeat could be heard. Risvitha pulled the covers over herself, but Leon didn't dare to fully burrow under the covers. He left a large portion of his side exposed. The warmth inside the covers mainly came from Risvitha's body temperature. Moreover, in such an intimate and cramped space, it was easy for any movement to inadvertently touch each other's arms or other body parts. Would Leon dare to move? No, he wouldn't. Beside him, Risvitha attempted to turn over and sleep on her side, but as soon as she moved, the water bed beneath her started to ripple and made a faint, sloshing sound. Helplessly, Risvitha gave up on the idea of turning over and laid flat. They listened to each other's heartbeat and breathing for over half an hour. Suddenly, Leon threw off the covers and jumped off the water bed. Hearing the movement, Risvitha sat up and asked, "Where are you going?" "I can't sleep, just going for a walk," Leon replied. Leon put on his clothes and left the room. Passing by the sisters' room, he pressed his ear against the door. There was no sound inside. The sisters should be asleep. Leon sighed, hands in his pockets, and headed upstairs. He wanted to go to the rooftop and get some fresh air to calm down. Arriving at the rooftop of the temple, Leon noticed that he wasn't the only one unable to sleep tonight. A crimson figure stood at the railing, gazing into the distance, with a bottle of red wine on the nearby table. Leon approached Isabella and stood beside her. "Still up at this hour, sister?" Isabella glanced at Leon, then continued to stare into the distant mountains. "Yes, because I feel like one of you wouldn't be able to sleep either." "I doubt many people could sleep in that room," Leon teased. Isabella covered her mouth and chuckled. "What's wrong? Don't like it? It was specially prepared for you too." Leon chuckled but didn't respond. He glanced back at the small table and noticed that there were 2 wine glasses prepared. It seemed that Isabella had even accounted for chatting on the rooftop. "Want a drink?" Isabella suggested. "Sure." Isabella picked up a glass and handed it to Leon, then proceeded to pour wine into both glasses. They lightly clinked their glasses and took a sip of the exquisite wine. "I thought the one coming to the rooftop for some fresh air would be Risvitha," Isabella said. "The wine prepared is her favorite." Leon chuckled. "Should I go back and call her now? She's still awake." Isabella chuckled, playfully scolding him with a glance. "There's no need for that. Here, help me out." "Okay." They walked to the side, where Isabella kicked over a cardboard box. Leon recognized the box. It contained the love letters Risvitha had thrown away in the past. Isabella also brought over some sticks and stacked them together. Then, she raised her hand and shot out a flame from her palm, igniting the sticks. She squatted down and took out a love letter from the box, tossing it into the fire. "Over a year ago, Risvitha suddenly started writing frequent letters to me," Isabella suddenly said. Leon also crouched down, slowly tossing the love letters into the fire. She said she married a low-key dragon king in a secret marriage and was pregnant with his child. I wished her well in the letters, but she didn't seem very happy. You could sense that melancholy feeling between the lines, my sister, I know her the best. Leon silently watched the fire, the flames reflecting in his dark eyes. His thoughts stirred, recalling the time when he used the blood woe to impregnate Rosvitha, causing himself to pass out afterward. Going through the pregnancy alone, carrying the child of an enemy, she must have endured unbearable days back then. She always mentioned in the letters that you weren't feeling well, always needing to sleep for long, long hours. When she was pregnant, it was only the maidservants taking care of her, including the days when Muin and Noya were born, Isabella said casually. You should know, twins make pregnancy and childbirth much more difficult than a single child. Leon nodded softly. Isabella's words reminded Leon why Rosvitha always seemed melancholic and troubled. Apart from managing internal affairs and the mental and physical labor, she had to take care of a sudden family. Undoubtedly, she loved her children, but behind that love was 2 years of loneliness and solitude. No one to accompany her, no one to confide in, only letters to her sister to alleviate her melancholy and sorrow. I even thought she married someone she didn't like, Isabella continued, married someone less intelligent than her, a reckless and temperamental dragon who didn't like children. She glanced at Leon as she spoke. Leon ran his hand through his hair. Do I look like that kind of dragon, sis? Sis, I'm not even a dragon, isn't that strange? You certainly aren't, and after tonight's brief interaction, I'm more convinced that Rosvitha made the right choice marrying you. She really likes you, Isabella affirmed. Leon acknowledged that Isabella was indeed a very astute person. However, he couldn't agree with the statement, she really likes you. He scratched his cheek, hesitatingly saying, sis, about that. Yes, she interacts with you differently than with everyone else. When you two are together, it's so relaxed, so comfortable. As a couple, you also maintain a friendship. But is it possible that we're just archenemies? Rosvitha isn't good at expressing her emotions. I've never seen anyone make her let her guard down like this. You're the second one, Leon, Isabella continued confidently. Leon was taken aback. Who's the first one? Obviously it's me, Isabella said proudly, pointing at herself. It's okay. Isabella burned the last letter in her hand. Anyway, I'm telling you all this not to pressure you, but to make sure you take care of my sister. She's just come through the loneliest 2 years, but there are still many years ahead. You need to be there for her all the way. Isabella looked at Leon. You're a responsible man. You know how to make me feel at ease, right? Leon's pupils trembled slightly as the fire in his eyes burned slowly. To accompany her all the way with a lifetime. But Leon still held the last letter in his hand, unconsciously clutching the corner of the envelope. Seeing Leon's silence, Isabella furrowed her brows slightly. What's wrong? Don't you? I will, sis, Leon interrupted. Leon neatly folded the last love letter and slowly tossed it into the fire pit. The paper burned, turning into wisps of ashes. I'll take care of Rosvitha, I promise, Leon assured. Isabella's brows relaxed. HMPH, kid, you better. Leon stood up, pounding his chest. I really will. I didn't take care of her during the first pregnancy. If there's a second one, I'll protect my wife and child with my life. Assuming there would be a second one. Isabella chuckled at his bravado. All right, enough showing off. Go back quickly, don't keep Rosvitha waiting. Leon nodded and turned to walk towards the stairs, leading back to the main building. Wait, Isabella suddenly called out to him. Is there anything else, sis? Tonight, don't hold back. The soundproofing in that room is particularly good. Leon, I really appreciate it. Vol 1CH, 73. After returning to the room, Leon found it eerily quiet inside. He tried softly calling out for Rosvitha, but there was no response. She's fallen asleep so quickly, Leon muttered to himself as he gently closed the door. He took off his shoes in the hallway and silently walked to the bedside, then carefully climbed into bed. However, the waterbed was just too lively. As soon as he placed his hand on it, the entire bed tilted towards his side. Rosvitha's foot under the blanket inadvertently touched the back of his hand. Leon's heart skipped a beat. Rosvitha's foot always seemed to stir up memories he'd rather forget. Swallowing nervously, Leon discreetly moved his hand away and slowly slid to the inner side of the waterbed. Once he lay down, Leon breathed a sigh of relief. He covered himself with a corner of the blanket but still hesitated to fully burrow under it. If there were a dragon lying next to him, he would have been roasted long ago. Would he still be as submissive as he was now? Leon turned his head to look at Rosvitha. The female dragon was already sound asleep, her breathing steady, and her sleeping face peaceful and beautiful. In truth, Leon enjoyed watching Rosvitha sleep. She was beautiful. Even as his sworn enemy, Leon couldn't help but acknowledge that fact. She was truly beautiful, like a person in a painting. Especially on such silent nights, with a faint fragrance filling the room, the waterbed beneath her delicate body perfectly molding to her shape, and moonlight streaming in through the window, casting its glow upon her silver hair. In this atmosphere of utmost serenity, combined with her breathtaking beauty, even when seen at such close proximity, her flawless face showed no imperfections whatsoever. For a moment, Leon found himself entranced. Then, under the blanket covering Rosvitha's chest, a faint purple light began to shimmer. Leon sensed trouble brewing and quickly averted his gaze, simultaneously taking deep breaths to calm his nerves. How does the saying go for the 3 honors and 3 shames of dragon slaying? As honoring treason as an honor. No, that's not right. As coveting beauty. No, that's not it either. He clenched the bedsheet tightly, forcing himself not to dwell on these jumbled thoughts. But once the dragon mark reacted, it was like a rolling stone down a mountain, impossible to stop. Leon felt heat spreading throughout his body, making it impossible to find a comfortable position. Tilde. A vague whimper came from Rosvitha beside him. Presumably, she was also affected by the dragon mark's reaction. Leon tightly shut his eyes, pretending nothing was amiss. Rustling, the sound of skin rubbing against the blanket, gently soothing Leon's restless heart. Unable to resist, he opened his eyes to sneak a glance at Rosvitha. He saw her slowly extending her arm from under the blanket, her chest rising and falling in a tantalizing rhythm. And that faint purple glow. It turned out to be a small purple ambient light, about the size of a finger. Leon was petrified on the spot, completely dumbfounded. Damn deceitful mother dragon. Playing tricks on me again. Rosvitha slowly opened her eyes, smiling at Leon. Hey, my foot, what's the point of hiding a light bulb under the blanket? Leon exclaimed. Is it bothering you if I hide a light? Rosvitha retorted, placing the small ambient light on the nearby bedside table. I found it in the toy rack just now, and thought it would be fun to tease you with, but judging by your reaction just now. She lowered her gaze, then looked back up at Leon, meeting his eyes. You felt something for me, didn't you? Leon's gaze shifted away, and he turned his back to Rosvitha. No, I'm going to sleep, don't talk to me. Tusk, Rosvitha pursed her lips, no longer teasing Leon. After this little prank, the couple no longer felt as awkward as they did at the beginning. They both relaxed a bit. Rosvitha also turned to lie on her side, back to back with Leon. However, she didn't pull the blanket too far over, leaving some for Leon to avoid him catching a cold in the middle of the night. What if he caught a cold and passed it on to their daughter? With these thoughts in mind, Rosvitha slowly closed her eyes. Sleep quickly engulfed both of them. Yet just as Rosvitha was about to drift off, she suddenly felt something on her shoulder. She groggily swatted it away. What? If you need something, just say it, don't touch me. A faint voice came from behind. I didn't touch you. Who tapped my shoulder? Rosvitha turned her head to look. The next moment, a startled scream, and the waterbed shook violently. Before Leon could react, he felt a surge of warmth and softness in his arms. When he snapped out of it, Rosvitha had already curled up in his embrace, her hands tightly gripping his shoulders. Even her tail had emerged, wrapping around his arm. The softness of her chest pressed against Leon's waist, her legs curled up, trembling in his arms. Her delicate fragrance, mixed with the subtle scent of shower gel, filled Leon's senses, intoxicating him. Her heartbeat quickened, and her body temperature rose significantly, indicating she had been frightened by something. Rosvitha held on tightly, and with her sensual lingerie and their bodies perfectly fitting together, Leon's heartbeat involuntarily sped up too. But seeing Rosvitha in such a panic, Leon didn't have time to enjoy or tease. He quickly asked, "What's wrong? Why are you so scared?" There's a spider. A spider, Leon followed her gaze. Sure enough, there was a black, hairy spider on the pillow. Leon remembered seeing a photo in the album today. where a young Risvitha was scared and crying because of a spider. Could it be that she still had a psychological shadow from that time? "It's okay, I'll get rid of it for you. Hey, calm down." As soon as Leon lowered his head, he saw Risvitha gathering intense dragon flames in her hand. Its magical purity seemed even higher than when they sparred. "I'm going to kill it," Risvitha declared, as if facing a formidable enemy. Hey, hold on there, ancestor. This is a waterbed. If you unleash dragon flames, this room will turn into a sauna," Leon quickly intervened, pressing down her wrist. After a brief hesitation, Leon tried to comfort her by wrapping his arm around her shoulder and patting her back gently. "It's okay, I'll get rid of it now. Just calm down, okay? Don't be afraid." Carefully releasing Risvitha, Leon crawled over, pinched the spider, then opened the window and tossed it out. However, as he touched the spider, Leon felt something strange. It didn't quite feel like the hairy texture of a spider, it was more like rubber. Wait, could this be another part of his sister's design? The thought sent shivers down Leon's spine. Without dwelling on it further, he quickly closed the window. "All right, it's gone now," Leon reassured her. Risvitha pursed her lips, still feeling a bit shaken. After hesitating for a moment, she coquettishly said, "I'll sleep on the inner side, and you sleep on the outer side." "No problem, you can sleep wherever you want." Risvitha tucked her tail away and nestled back into the covers, still feeling a bit unsettled. Leon also lay back down, this time fully burrowing himself under the covers. He felt that Risvitha might need someone closer to her right now. After lying for a while, Leon glanced at Risvitha. She was staring straight at the ceiling, her eyes wide open. She couldn't understand how there could be a spider here. Risvitha had always been afraid of these little creatures, finding their hairy bodies, legs, and eyes terrifying. Even the thought of them described in words sent shivers down her spine. This psychological shadow couldn't be changed. Even with the long lifespan of the dragons, time wouldn't erase it. Whenever Risvitha was scared by spiders in the past, she would always go to Isabella for comfort, but now her sister wasn't here. "If you're still scared, you can hold my hand," the man beside her said in a deep voice. Risvitha blinked slightly, then closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and slowly exhaled. "Give it here." Leon hesitated. "What?" "Your hand." "Oh, right, okay." There was a rustle under the blanket as Leon reached out his hand. Risvitha also moved hers closer, but something seemed off. Leon lifted the blanket and raised his hand, teasing, "How does holding just the pinky finger give you any sense of security?" Risvitha blushed slightly, "Then how should we hold?" "Silly, like this." With that, Leon interlocked all 5 of his fingers with Risvitha's. Their fingers intertwined, and an instant sense of security flooded over them. "Hey, I feel like you guys haven't been rolling around hard enough these past few days. You've only managed to write this much." Vol 1ch, 74. Risvitha's current mood was somewhat complicated. On one hand, there was the lingering fear from being startled by the spider. On the other hand, Leon suddenly holding her hand left her feeling somewhat bewildered. But if one were to describe this so-called bewilderment, more specifically, it was probably shyness. Though she was reluctant to admit it, her flushed and heated cheeks were the most compelling evidence. Should she continue to enjoy this innocent shyness, or release Leon's hand and pretend nothing happened? Contemplating, Risvitha subconsciously took a deep breath. However, this action led Leon to mistakenly believe that she was still afraid, so he tightened his grip even more. Like an electric current, it spread from Risvitha's palm to her fingertips, tingling and numb, making her involuntarily respond to Leon's touch. From interlocking fingers to tightly clasping them, it didn't seem so awkward, Risvitha thought. So after a brief hesitation, she completely discarded the idea of letting go of his hand and pretending nothing happened. What nothing happened? As the Silver Dragon Queen, she dared to do anything and had never treated anything as if it hadn't happened before. What's embarrassing about holding hands? Just hold them. All right. The reason was simply too perfect. Risvitha silently praised herself in her heart. Thinking back to the last time we held hands. Leon, looking up at the ceiling, spoke leisurely. Risvitha glanced at him, her silver eyes carrying a hint of anticipation. It was during our last outing together, Rosvitha added. I know, I just wanted to hear you say it, Leon replied. Rosvitha sighed. All right, I said it, what next? Leon shook his head and asked, why are your hands always so cold? I have a naturally cold constitution. You've lived for over 200 years and haven't done anything about it. It can't be cured, I told you it's natural. Oh, yeah. Leon remarked, your hands are sweating. It's you. No, it must be you. Holding hands with you wouldn't make me nervous enough to sweat. HMPH, I bet you're sweating buckets by now. Stop pretending. Leon glanced at Rosvitha's chest. Your dragon mark isn't glowing, which proves I haven't taken this seriously at all. Are you seriously thinking about that just because we're holding hands? What a pure-hearted little boy you are. Besides, your dragon mark isn't glowing either. As soon as the words fell, a faint purple light began to shimmer from under the covers on Leon's side. Rosvitha panicked. No, it's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Oh, your majesty, are you flustered? Holding hands with me seems to have made you all jittery, hasn't it? Leon teased proudly. Rosvitha's eyes flickered. After a brief moment of panic, she immediately caught on. She kicked off the covers, revealing Leon's chest. There she saw his other hand, clutching the purple ambient lamp she had used to scare him, pretending it was the glow of a dragon mark. Rosvitha squinted, scrutinizing Leon. Leon's smile shifted from smugness to embarrassment. He sheepishly tossed the ambient lamp on the ground. I said it jumped into my hand by itself, do you believe me? Rosvitha replied sarcastically, sure, I believe whatever you say. Oh, my dear, you're so kind, Tilda. Don't be ridiculous, idiot. Despite their playful banter, their hands never let go, clasped tightly together. Gradually, Rosvitha's racing pulse, triggered by the spider scare, subsided. Their grip became more natural, no longer exerting unnecessary force. This relaxed state was the most comfortable. Otherwise, with the strength of this mother dragon, Leon might end up needing a cast by tomorrow if they kept squeezing so hard. But the night was long, and neither of them felt sleepy. After a few jokes, they both began to feel a bit bored. Hey, Leon's tone became more serious. What? Rosvitha responded. About your criteria for choosing a partner. It's fake, it's been over 100 years, don't take it seriously. Oh, so what are your current criteria then? I don't have any criteria now. As she said this, Leon could feel her fingers twitch slightly. Leon wasn't sure what this slight movement meant. But based on his understanding of this mother dragon, her words just now probably weren't entirely sincere, right? Strange. What does his sincerity have to do with Rosvitha's criteria for choosing a partner? Why would he care about Rosvitha's criteria for choosing a partner? It must be because tonight was too boring, and they were having trouble falling asleep, so they had run out of topics to talk about. Yeah, that must be it. The excuse was perfect. Leon silently praised himself in his heart. It was surprising how alike they were in fooling themselves in this aspect. They both loved to give themselves a perfect reason and praise themselves for it. When would they ever share their inner thoughts, let the other one also praise and comment a bit? Leon sighed, trying to relax. Rosvitha glanced at him and asked, why the sigh? Oh, nothing, just trying to relax and fall asleep sooner. Their hands remained clasped under the covers, but after a long time maintaining the same position, their fingers inevitably began to feel a bit numb. Leon tried to move his thumb, but this unintentional action inadvertently created a sensation, as if he was lightly stroking the back of Rosvitha's hand. The hand beside Rosvitha instinctively tightened the hem of her skirt. This guy, just hold hands, don't start touching everywhere. You're a prisoner, yet you dare to touch your captor. All right then, I'll touch you too. Rosvitha also moved her fingers, the warm and smooth fingertips brushing over the old scar on Leon's hand, creating a unique sensation. The saying goes, 10 fingers connected to the heart, and especially in this intimate and ambiguous atmosphere, the feeling it brought was even more extraordinary. Even the slightest touch could tug at each other's heartstrings. tingling, itching. They both wanted to do something more. Gulp. Rosvitha suddenly heard Leon swallowing. It seemed that at this moment, this guy was feeling the same as she was. As the night grew darker, people's hearts seemed to be cloaked in a layer of secrecy. They always wanted to take advantage of this moment to do things they wouldn't normally dare to do. Once such thoughts arose, they would intensify like the resonance of dragon marks. Rosvitha licked her slightly dry lips, wanting to say something, but the words stuck in her throat. It was really strange. This thing called ambiguity was like water, seeping in everywhere, always slipping in when they least expected it. At the same time, it possessed a more captivating effect than any carefully crafted flirting technique. Leon and Rosvitha had never lain together in such a conscious state, still holding each other's hands. The raw and naive affection took root in their hearts, then grew wildly. This had nothing to do with their usual hostility. In this moment, in this night, they were both drowning in ambiguity. Thud! The waterbed made a dull sound. They both unconsciously leaned closer to each other. The lace border of Rosvitha's sheer nightgown gently brushed against Leon's hand. Underneath the nightgown was her soft body, radiating increasing warmth. Suddenly, a thought flashed through their minds simultaneously. Just for tonight. They both turned their heads to look at each other. In the moment when their black and silver eyes met, no more words were needed. Leon gently rose, still holding Rosvitha's hand tightly in one hand, while the other hand wandered over, embracing her fragrant shoulder. The sexy nightgown slipped from her shoulder, revealing half of her chest, leaving onlookers breathless. She lowered her eyelashes slightly, her gaze hazy, captivating. Despite this being behavior spurred by the atmosphere of ambiguity, Rosvitha still tried to add her own touch to it. She lifted her long legs and gently rubbed against Leon's calf. Skin against skin, smooth and delicate. Then she reached out her hand, lightly lifting Leon's chin with her index finger, while her body slowly retreated. Their gaze, their expression, seemed to say, "Come on, devour me." Rosvitha retreated to the innermost edge of the bed, with no way to retreat further. Leon leaned in closer to her, their noses touching, their breaths mingling. Interestingly, although they both knew what would happen next, their dragon marks showed no reaction at all. After all, dragon marks were just a kind of magic used to add spice to things. When both parties had the purest appreciation and desire for each other, even without dragon marks, everything would naturally fall into place. Under the cover of night, Rosvitha was stunningly beautiful. She closed her eyes, welcoming what was to come. Leon didn't hesitate either, responding to Rosvitha. But just as their lips were about to touch, a small black object suddenly dropped onto Rosvitha's arm. Before Leon could react, there was a silver little head in his arms. She held onto Leon's shoulder tightly, burying her head in his chest. A tail. The tail had been scared out again, tightly coiled around Leon's waist. Leon calmed down from the atmosphere of ambiguity, patting Rosvitha's head gently while picking up the spider and flicking it away. Similarly, this spider felt strange. Leon furrowed his brows slightly. It's okay, it's gone now. But how could there be so many spiders in the guest room of the Red Dragon Temple? He gently stroked the back of the beauty in his arms and looked up at the ceiling. Sure enough, he discovered a clue. A small hinged mechanism was slowly closing. It seemed that the spider had dropped from there. As for who orchestrated this twisted mechanism, Leon could easily guess. So, what was the purpose of the scheming elder sister? Leon glanced at the spot where the first spider had dropped. He compared the distance between the two spots and the width of the waterbed. After a moment of contemplation, Leon couldn't help but smile wryly. He understood. The spider mechanism would only trigger on both sides of the waterbed, and it wouldn't activate if they were pressed together from the beginning. It was only when Rosvitha had inadvertently triggered the spider mechanism by moving to the corner of the waterbed just before they were about to kiss. Well done, elder sister. You've calculated everything so accurately for us. After realizing this, the timid mother dragon in his arms stopped trembling. Leon patted her shoulder. Do you want to keep holding onto me like this? Although somewhat reluctant, the silver-haired little head nodded twice. Now Rosvitha didn't feel like they were in some S and M-themed couple suite anymore. It felt more like an adventure chamber, with traps hidden at every step. In such a situation, where was the safest place? Well, it was in Leon's embrace. If anything happened, he would take the brunt of it, and she wouldn't be in danger of getting close to the spiders. Although it was a bit embarrassing to do so, this was probably the only way to safely get through tonight. Moreover, if they had really kissed just now, Rosvitha really didn't know how it would have ended. So let's thank Mr. Spider for interrupting that reckless intimacy. Rosvitha's body gradually relaxed, nestling comfortably in Leon's embrace, allowing him to hold her. Her body was soft, completely disconnected from the image of the silver dragon. Moreover, she happened to be wearing a tight and sexy lace nightgown, exposing large areas of her skin. Being so close, held so tightly, made Leon's heart itch with excitement. Although Rosvitha was no longer trembling, Leon could still sense her fear. So Leon patiently comforted her, much like he would do with Muin, stroking her head, patting her back and reassuring her, "Don't be afraid, it's okay, I'm here." Rosvitha wanted to say, "Don't treat me like a child," but the words didn't come out. She enjoyed this somewhat shy and awkward tenderness and unexpectedly blurted out, "Your heartbeat is so fast." "I'm afraid of spiders too," Leon responded immediately. "Just for tonight, Leon, I won't do this with you again. So after tonight, let's both pretend this never happened, okay?" Rosvitha said. Okay. In the end, the Silver Dragon Queen chose to pretend nothing happened. This was the first time she had broken her own rule. And it was in front of a human. Talking about it would be so embarrassing. After being startled twice, Rosvitha was exhausted, overwhelmed by drowsiness, and fell into a deep sleep in Leon's arms. Accompanying her into slumber was the strong and steady sound of his heartbeat. The next morning, when Rosvitha opened her eyes, Leon was no longer by her side. The bed had cooled down, indicating that he had been up for some time. Rosvitha sat up, rubbing her eyes. She thought that after experiencing last night's events, he might also be feeling a bit confused. If Rosvitha had woken up first, she would have chosen to go out for a walk first, just like Leon. When others arrived, the subtle awkwardness between her and Leon would naturally dissipate. Slightly more awake now, Rosvitha threw off the covers, changed out of the embarrassing lace nightgown, put on her clothes, quickly freshened up, and headed out the door. Just as she took a step, Rosvitha retreated back inside. She looked straight ahead, only using her peripheral vision to see the person waiting at the door for quite some time. "Sis, are you here to spy on us so early in the morning?" Rosvitha said, leaning against the door frame, her arms crossed. "How was last night? Exciting?" Isabella's eyes lit up. Rosvitha gave her sister a silent glare. "Exciting, very exciting." If a few more spiders had come, Rosvitha would have blown up her sister's lair. Hearing this, Isabella's eyes brightened. "Then did you use the little props I prepared for you?" Rosvitha sighed. "Leon is afraid of pain, so we didn't use them." "Well, that's a shame. How about I give you a few when you go back home later? You can practice with them at home," Isabella suggested. Rosvitha quickly grabbed her sister's wrist. "Sis, about that, you don't need to bother anymore. Let's go have breakfast." Isabella pursed her lips, then reached out and held her sister's hand. "Let's go then." The two sisters arrived at the dining room, where Leon and the two little dragon girls were already seated. "Oh, Tilda, Mom and Aunt are here. Tilda, it's time for dinner, Tilda." Muin jumped off Leon's lap, circled around the table, and ran to her own seat across from him. Everyone sat down in the same positions as yesterday, with Isabella at the head, Leon and Rosvitha on one side, and the two little ones sitting across from them. As Rosvitha walked over, she inadvertently met Leon's gaze, but their eye contact lasted only a brief moment before they quickly looked away. After everyone had taken their seats, breakfast began. The two little ones ate obediently, while Isabella had a small appetite and sat there with an aunt-like smile on her face after finishing her meal. On Leon and Rosvitha's side, however, they ate with discomfort. Despite the breakfast being delicious, they somehow managed to make it feel hard to swallow. Leon reached for a piece of bread and glanced at the jar of peanut butter on the table, intending to grab it. But at the same time, Risvitha also set her sights on the jar of peanut butter. The couple almost reached out their hands at the same time, but it was too late to pull back. In the instant their fingertips touched, they both reacted as if shocked. What's more, the hands that touched were the ones that had interlocked fingers last night. Memories rushed into their minds, and the faces of the couple turned red in an instant. Isabella noticed the subtle movements of her sister and brother-in-law and teased, feeling hot. Risvitha was a little flustered. Is the dining room too hot? Why are both of your faces red? Isabella rested her chin on her hand, squinting and smiling. Risvitha and Leon both realized that Isabella was asking knowingly, but they couldn't easily say anything in front of the children. They could only nod and agree, yeah, it's quite hot. In that case, let's go back to the room and take a shower after dinner, Isabella suggested. Take a shower? What to use for the shower? Would you like to use your bathtub filled with rose petals, but unable to release water for the shower? Big sis, you're really funny, heh? Finally, they managed to finish breakfast reluctantly. After that, Isabella took her family of 4 to stroll around the Red Dragon tribe. Because Noya had to return to the academy tomorrow, they planned to start their journey back in the afternoon. The little dragon girls hugged Isabella goodbye. Then, each of their faces received a lipstick mark from their aunt. Be safe on your way back, Isabella said. Okay, we'll come visit you again later, sis. Isabella nodded and then handed a gift box to Risvitha, saying, Here's a farewell gift for you. Open it when you get home. Okay, thank you, sis. The two sisters also hugged each other. While hugging, Isabella leaned close to Risvitha's ear and whispered in a low voice, Give birth to another one for me to play with. Maybe I'll let her inherit my Red Dragon Temple in the future. Risvitha shyly pushed Isabella away. Sis, what are you talking about? Isabella chuckled and reached out to pinch her sister's blushing cheek. When it was Leon's turn, out of politeness, he shook hands with Isabella instead of hugging her. Don't forget what you promised me. Isabella looked into Leon's eyes, her smile fading, her expression becoming somewhat serious. Yeah, I won't. All right, then I wish you a safe journey. Risvitha walked to the front yard of the Red Dragon Temple, spread her wings, and transformed into her dragon form. Leon held Noya and Muin as they climbed onto her back. Before taking off, Risvitha glanced back at Isabella. Isabella nodded in response, and Risvitha gave the same nod. The silver dragon flapped its wings and soared into the sky. Watching the distant silver figure, Isabella breathed a sigh of relief. Children are just too adorable. With a sigh, she turned and headed back to the temple. Upon reaching the 3rd floor, the maids were cleaning the sisters' room, where Muin and Noya stayed last night. Isabella walked to the innermost room, the romantic suite, wanting to see the aftermath of her sister and brother-in-law's battle scene from last night. But as soon as she opened the door, a small black dot suddenly fell on her nose. Isabella was startled. When she looked closely, she realized it was a rubber spider toy. She pinched the small toy and chuckled helplessly. Risvitha was very afraid of such things, so it couldn't have been her who set up this little prank. That left only Leon. Young man fiercely protective of his wife, Isabella laughed, closing the door to the room. Vol 1ch 75. After several hours of flight, the family of 4 returned to the Silver Dragon Temple. Noya and Muin were somewhat tired, so they went back to their sister's room to rest as soon as they landed. The couple didn't have much communication. Actually, they didn't know what to talk about. After all, they had exchanged too intimately last night, to the point where even meeting each other now felt awkward. Standing at the door of their respective rooms, their hands were both on the doorknob. But both of them unconsciously slowed down their movements. It seemed like they were both waiting for the other to say something. Pressing their hands slowly downwards, the lock mechanism inside the door clicked. Leon spoke first. Yes, Risvitha looked sideways. Could you give me a live performance? Risvitha frowned, the expectation that had just ignited in her eyes, turning into a kind of uneasy anticipation. What performance? She asked. Leon opened the door. I love to bathe and take care of my body, scrubbing my tail and blowing bubbles. Damned dog man. A surge of anger suddenly rose in Risvitha's heart. She squinted, took a deep breath. Leon, did we forget something? Leon was taken aback, his smile freezing on his face. The night we received the news about Neuer's fight, what were we supposed to do? HM. Leon quietly pressed down the doorknob, ready to escape at any moment. I forgot, what were we supposed to do? Eat dinner. Dinner, HMPH, I'll eat you. Smack. Leon pushed the door open directly, and was about to close it behind him when Rosvitha acted swiftly, slapping her hand directly onto the door panel. Like the Grim Reaper, she slowly peeked her head out from the crack of the door. You have 10 minutes. Take a shower and come to my room. Tonight, Professor Melkvi will teach you properly. Don't go around spreading other people's dark history. Smack. Rosvitha put some force into it and closed the door. Leon stood in the hallway, dazed for a moment, before slapping himself in the face. Why is this mouth so damn reckless? But doesn't this precisely prove that the Sword of Dark History can indeed easily break through the defenses of that mother dragon? Even though the price she paid for breaking through was to grab Leon and give him a good beating. But at least she broke through, didn't she? That's what Leon wanted. As for his own body, let it break if it must. How can the business of slaying dragons be without sacrifice, without effort? Holding back the Silver Dragon Queen, it's our duty. 10 minutes later. Please, not too harsh, I know I was wrong. Rosvitha took out the small whip from before, sitting on Leon's abdomen. After many days, the familiar sense of control returned. Well, playing on the bed at home was still comfortable. Student Leon, Rosvitha got into character. Leon closed his eyes, reluctantly but still cooperating. Yes. You got a 0 on this exam again. Rosvitha's voice was cold, lofty. You fell asleep during the exam again, didn't you? You're quite the actor, Mother Dragon. Insolent. Smack. The small whip landed on Leon's chest with a snap, quick enough that he couldn't react in time. Though the sound was somewhat loud, both of them knew it wasn't delivered with much force. After all, they weren't playing the real alphabet game. As long as it made Leon uncomfortable and embarrassed, Rosvitha's goal was achieved. I'm your teacher, how dare you speak to me like that? Looking at her serious demeanor, Leon gradually realized that she wasn't just getting too into character. She wanted to make him feel ashamed through this role-playing method. At the same time, Rosvitha's choice of role was quite clever. Rosvitha was the teacher, and Leon was the disobedient student. It perfectly corresponds to the mistakes Leon made during Rosvitha's weak days. Now it was time to repay those mistakes. I'm sorry, teacher, I will study hard in the future and not fall asleep during exams. Leon endured the bursting feeling of shame, his face red as he spoke with a determined tone. HMPH, that's about right. Just as Leon was about to heave a sigh of relief, Rosvitha wouldn't let him off so easily. Want to be dismissed, Mr. Leon? Yes, Leon nodded vigorously. All right then, have you finished your homework? Leon blinked. What homework? Smack. Tilde, that really stings, Mother Dragon, it hurts. You don't even know what homework there is, and you dare to say you'll study hard. Leon swallowed hard. He realized that if he wanted to end tonight's game as soon as possible, he had to fully cooperate with Rosvitha. Leon pursed his lips and said, Then please, teacher, could you repeat it for me? I'll listen carefully. All right, since the teacher is reasonable. Haha, teacher, you're really humorous. But today, our homework isn't written work, it's... She discarded the small whip, bent down slightly, brushed aside her long hair in front of her chest, and the neckline drooped, revealing half of the delicate and dragon pattern design. Make the teacher's dragon tattoo glow. Rosvitha reached out, her fingertips spinning on Leon's chest. Mr. Leon, hurry up and finish your homework faster. Translated into everyday language, Rosvitha was forcing Leon to take the initiative to do something with her. It was essentially the same thing in different words. Leon gripped the bed sheets tightly. Sorry, teacher, I'm not very good at this homework. Oh dear, I've taught this in class before, how could you still not know? Rosvitha held Leon's hand and placed it on her waist. The clear sensation of the beauty's soft waist and abdomen came through. Leon swallowed hard. Then let the teacher review it with you, just like this, feel it slowly tilde tilde. She leaned down, her warm breath gently spraying onto Leon's face, and that delicate fragrance enveloped him, instantly engulfing Leon. Silver strands of hair cascaded down, lightly tickling the tip of his nose, sending shivers down his spine. Leon struggled to control his instincts. But alas, it was futile. His opponent was a dragon mark. Rosvitha's face suddenly flushed. She glanced down, and the dragon mark on her chest shimmered brightly. Excellent, Leon, you've grasped the essentials so quickly. Leon turned his head away, avoiding the gaze of the mother dragon. I've finished the assignment, is that all right? He knew full well that the end was still far off, but he couldn't help but ask, what if the mother dragon granted him clemency? Of course not, it's not over yet, Rosvitha said, crushing his fantasies. It's just a small after-school exercise. Leon still hasn't handed in his homework. The dragon mark resonated gradually. Once again, Leon fell into the mother dragon's hands, inexplicably feeling that winning had only one formula, while losing had countless ways. Leon's mouth grew dry, his body restless. His hand began to move restlessly up along Rosvitha's waist. Rosvitha tilted her head slightly, closing her eyes, savoring the exquisite sensation. Leon, you're not behaving. Leon started working on his homework. Gripping the pen, he scribbled fiercely in his workbook, the nib scratching against the smooth white paper, making a rustling sound. Due to the fast pace of writing, there were inevitably some flaws and errors, so Rosvitha prepared enough correction fluid for him. With the cooperation of teacher and student, after more than an hour, Leon handed in his homework. Rosvitha scraped off the correction fluid on her homework paper and let Leon inspect it carefully. After confirming it was done, Leon said, "Teacher, can we have class dismissed now?" No, we can't." "Why not? I've already turned in my homework." "What you've turned in is only for one subject. There are still 6 more subjects to turn in." "Leon, teacher, you're really a homework maniac. Stop chatting, Leon, and get ready to pull an all-nighter for your homework." In the classroom, the lights were on, and the young students were diligently studying, scribbling away furiously. This was destined to be a tough night. Some fires were bound to ignite when the time came. Playing a major role, though late, is still crucial. Big sister, so the ambiguity in my house was also part of your play. Vol 1ch, 76. The next morning, the family of 4 stood in the front yard waiting for the Leviathan school bus. Leon had heavy dark circles under his eyes, his feet felt light, and he could barely stand steady. Neuer and Mewen looked at him curiously. "Why do you look like you haven't slept again?" Neuer asked. "I stayed up too late doing homework," Leon replied dazedly. "Homework? Do adults have homework too?" Neuer raised an eyebrow. "Children have children's homework, and of course adults have their own homework," Rosvitha whispered, trying to defuse the situation. Neuer nodded, not pressing further. Mewen blinked her pretty eyes, glanced at her mom, then at her dad, and said excitedly, "Mewen found a super amazing pattern." The 3 of them looked at their youngest daughter. "Yeah, when mom is feeling good, dad becomes very weak, and then when dad is feeling good, mom becomes very weak. Right, it must be like this." Although it sounded strange, it seemed, indeed, true. The relationship between Rosvitha and Leon was like a seesaw. Someone always ended up feeling drained while the other gained energy. As for who was the teacher and who was the student, it depended on who took the initiative first. Leon patted Mewen's little head. "Good daughter, you're so smart. If anyone dares to say you only know how to be cute, Dad will be the first to fight him." The family of 4 chatted leisurely as the silhouette of Leviathan gradually appeared, then slowly hovered above the temple. Neuer ran over and waved to them before the pillar of light transporting her into Leviathan. The giant dragon slowly departed, disappearing into the horizon. Leon lifted Mewen up. "What do you want to play today?" Mewen thought for a moment and replied, "Let's go to the training ground to exercise Tilda." "Exercise? How come you suddenly have this hobby?" Leon asked. Mewen shook her little head and quickly explained, "It's not a hobby, it's because Mewen sees Dad always looking weak, so it must be because of a lack of exercise. Mewen wants to encourage Dad to exercise more, which is also good for Mom." Upon hearing this, the couple blushed. Rosvitha quickly interjected, "Dad exercising is for his own good, not for Mom's." No, if Dad becomes stronger, he can protect Mom better, Tilda. Oh, so it was a misunderstanding. Haha, Tilda. And Muin herself wants to practice more and become stronger. The desire to become stronger was ingrained in the dragon race. Even for gentle and obedient little dragon girls like Muin, they couldn't help but want to become stronger. She wasn't aiming to defeat anyone or win against anyone, in her own words. She wanted to catch up to her big sister. Leon naturally didn't refuse. All right, Dad will take you. He carried Muin to the backyard of the temple. Risvitha thought for a moment, then went upstairs. The father and daughter arrived at the track of the training ground and began warming up. Leon explained to Muin a few simple warm-up exercises and their effects. First, stretching is important during warm-up. It helps gradually relax the body, increase flexibility, and reduce the risk of injury during exercise, Leon explained. He stepped out, shoulder-width apart, raised one arm with the other hand on his waist, and demonstrated a standard stretching movement. Muin watched attentively and followed suit. Next is walking warm-up, which helps the body wake up quickly and gradually adapt to increasing difficulty and pace. The father and daughter briskly walked back and forth at the starting point. Leon took big strides but slowly, while Muin, with her short legs, could only quickly move her little legs. After a few more warm-up exercises, they finally prepared to start running. Take me too. Risvitha's voice came from behind. They turned to look. Risvitha had changed out of her usual long skirt. She was now wearing sportswear, her long silver hair tied up in a high ponytail, giving her a tall and capable appearance. Mom, aren't you working today? Muin asked. Well, I'm not too busy these days. Why don't you want Mom to join you? Risvitha replied. No, it's great if Mom can join us, Tilda. Risvitha bent down and rubbed Muin's head. Then Muin, you better give it your all. Mom won't go easy on you. Okay, Muin won't go easy on Mom either. The little dragon girl was full of enthusiasm and high spirits. Leon teased, flexing his ankles. Can your little body that hardly moves a bit every day handle it? Don't sprain your foot later. I indeed don't often exercise. Risvitha stretched lazily, then did a few leg stretches. The last time I broke a sweat was when I almost defeated you in the training ground. Correction, it was a narrow victory, not almost defeated. Leon tried to salvage his pride from the last defeat. Call it whatever you want, but I won. You cunning dragon. If you're not convinced, let's have another match. All right, Mom and Dad will have another match. Muin cheered excitedly, seeming completely unconcerned about stirring up trouble. Leon quickly squatted down and covered his daughter's mouth. Kids shouldn't always think about fighting, it's rude. Muin tilted her head innocently and asked, Dad, can't you beat Mom? Leon's face turned red. What can't beat? Dad just doesn't want to hurt Mom. The little dragon girl looked puzzled. Really, Dad? Leon felt a bit guilty but stuck to his guns. Yes, really, of course it's true. Oh, I thought Dad really couldn't beat Mom, Tilda. There's no way. How did such a young child learn to be so ruthless? This can't be your mother's influence, darling. Risvitha arrived at the starting line. All right, whether you can beat each other or not, let's save that for later. For now, let's see who can run longer. It wasn't about speed, it was about endurance. Leon had a feeling he knew what Risvitha's next words would be. Keep going a little longer, Leon Tilda. She lowered her voice and mouthed to Leon, classmate Tilda. As expected. Leon also stood at the starting line. Muin stood between the couple. Leon bent down, picked up a stone from the ground, and threw it into the air. As the stone fell, Leon flicked his fingertip, causing a bolt of lightning to shatter the stone. The family of three started running simultaneously. Once they started running, the couple instinctively slowed down to accommodate Muin. They ran in a line, with Muin in front, Risvitha behind her, and Leon at the back. Don't you tuck your tail in when you run? Leon asked. The tail helps with balance. When we dragons, I mean when I sprint, I don't have to worry as much, Risvitha replied from the front. So should you consider showing your tail too? No, thanks. HMPH. The track in the training ground was approximately 400 meters long. Muin had only just started practicing, so she stopped to rest after running 2 laps. This meant that Leon and Risvitha had entered the real competition phase. This odd couple always wanted to compete in everything. This included, but was not limited to, who their daughter liked more, who the older sister played with more, and who had the upper hand in deep conversations. Even now, they had to compete while accompanying their child for a run. Well, they had spirit. The Silver Dragon race was known for their incredible speed. Compared to Risvitha, Leon didn't actually have much of an advantage in running. Plus, he had completed 7 assignments last night, dealing with both academic and physical exercises. Who could bear it? But when he stood at the starting line with Risvitha, he had no retreat. One of the tenets of the Dragon Slayer Creed. Born to battle, fight to the death. 20 minutes later, Risvitha kicked Leon's shoulder. Do you yield? Leon lay on the track, panting heavily with his eyes closed, forming a no with his lips. No yield. No yield, all right then, get up and keep running. Choose another day, give me 2 days of practice time. Risvitha shrugged. I'll give you 2 years if you want, or 2.5 if needed. She squatted down and poked Leon's face with her tail. So, dear Mr. Leon, can you perform now? I love a clean body, Tilda. Leon was speechless. You hold grudges so well, you'll definitely pay for it. Thanks, that's how I roll. Risvitha stood up, took off her sports jacket to reveal a very hot and sexy sports vest underneath. She tied the jacket around her waist and turned to Muin. Let's go, Muin. Mom will continue to accompany you for other exercises. Dad is too weak, Tilda. Mother and daughter were in perfect harmony, huh? All right, just you wait. The wheel of fortune turns, and I won't be underestimated, Dad. During dinner. Dad is weak. Open your mouths. Ah, Tilda. At the dining table, Leon seemed drained, his cheek resting on the table. Muin scooped up a spoonful of fried rice and carefully fed it to Leon. Risvitha sat on the side, her legs crossed, leisurely sipping post-dinner tea. You're getting old, don't push yourself too hard. It must be because of the homework last night. If I hadn't stayed up so late, I would have definitely won against you today, Leon said. Is that so? Then do you want to continue doing homework tonight? Risvitha asked. Upon hearing this, Leon sat up straight, then hugged Muin close. I made a promise to Muin. We're going to tell stories tonight. Muin, holding the spoon, blinked blankly. Dad, did we have this agreement? We didn't just now, but we do now. Oh, okay. Risvitha chuckled, set down her teacup, and stood up. The maids will come to clean up the table later. Don't stay up too late telling stories. Rest early. We know, Mom. Tilda. Risvitha waved and left the dining room, returning to her own room. After spending the whole day with those two, Risvitha had broken quite a sweat. She took off her sports vest and pants, leaving only 2 pieces of close-fitting clothing, and walked into the bathroom barefoot. Warm water flowed over her tender skin, washing away the fatigue accumulated throughout the day. After a simple shower, Risvitha wrapped herself in a towel and walked out of the bathroom. Then, she sat in front of the dressing table, starting to dry her wet hair. Her gaze inadvertently fell on the parting gift Isabella had given her as she left the Red Dragon Temple yesterday. She hadn't even had dinner after returning yesterday. She had gone to do homework with Leon. Naturally, she hadn't had a chance to open the gift. Risvitha let her hair loose and reached for the gift box, then opened it. Inside was a swimsuit. The swimsuit was primarily silver-white in color, with plenty of fabric, quite conservative. Conservative to the point where it didn't seem like something her older sister would give. In theory, that scheming red dragon should have given her something more provocative, right, like some lingerie. Risvitha couldn't understand. But she still carefully placed the swimsuit in her wardrobe. Oh, it seems like Noya and Muin have never been to the beach. I should take them there sometime. Muttering to herself, Risvitha closed the wardrobe. As she turned around, she caught a glimpse of a figure on the balcony. Shirley. It's me, sorry, Your Majesty. I didn't know you had just finished bathing, so I've been waiting here. Risvitha adjusted the towel higher on her chest, covering the dragon markings, then went to the balcony. No problem. Risvitha said, did you find any trace of Teg Lawrence? Previously, when Shirley came back to report, she said that Leon's master, Teg Lawrence, seemed to have vanished into thin air, and no matter how they searched, they couldn't find him. This time, Rosvitha wondered if there would be any good news. We can now confirm that Teg Lawrence and his wife are no longer in the Empire. They moved away about a year ago, Shirley said. All their belongings were donated to an orphanage in the Empire, and as for the cows and sheep on the farm, they were also given to the neighbors. Except, Rosvitha raised an eyebrow. Except what? Except for a donkey. The neighbors said that when Teg and his wife moved, they specifically took that donkey with them. Was this donkey the mascot of Leon's family? They seemed to be very fond of it from childhood to old age. Rosvitha felt a bit speechless, even amused. But she couldn't afford to appear too frivolous in front of her subordinates. She cleared her throat awkwardly. Ahem, all right, I understand. Continue searching for Teg's whereabouts outside the Empire, and report to me immediately if there's any news. Yes, Your Majesty. You've worked hard. Not at all, Your Majesty, I take my leave. With those words her figure flashed, disappearing before Rosvitha. Rosvitha walked to the balcony, leaning against the railing, and gazing into the distance at the mountains and forests shrouded in the darkness of night, her thoughts stirring. Leon's master, why did he leave the Empire? Vol 1ch, 77. When Noya returned from another break, she brought back some news. A family sports event. After dinner, the family of four discussed this topic at the dinner table. Noya nodded. Yes, the Academy is going to hold a family sports event. It's said to be a new attempt. Our family is really lucky. The interview process for new members was called a new attempt at the beginning, and now we have this family sports event, Leon quipped from the side. Leon recalled some specific kindergartens in the Empire. They often had to drag parents along to accompany their children in completing certain tasks. They called it family homework in the name, but it was actually the teacher being lazy to care more about the children, dumping all the trouble onto the parents. If you argued, they would say you weren't cooperating with your child's learning. If you complied, you'd have to do the teacher's work. That's why the master didn't send Leon to kindergarten back then. It was said that he was too old for kindergarten at the time, and the family was too poor, so let's tidy up and get ready to go straight to the Dragon Slayer Academy. But later, Leon realized that Master, that old guy, was just too lazy to help the kindergarten teachers take care of the kids, so he didn't let Leon go. A sports event, I also participated when I was studying at the St. High's Academy, Rosvitha recalled, but at that time it didn't involve families, it was just the students participating alone. So Mom, what place did you get back then? Muin's eyes sparkled. Rosvitha rested her cheek on her hand, squinting and smiling, raising one finger. First place tilde Mom is amazing. Then Muin looked at Leon again, and what about Dad? I didn't place, Leon said. Muin tilted his head, asking, why didn't you get a place? Yeah, did you chicken out? Rosvitha tried to tease from the side. But Leon just gave a disdainful snort and leisurely said, because my final score was so far ahead of the second place that the Academy suspected me of cheating during the competition. They temporarily withheld my results and didn't include them in the public rankings. So Dad cheated? Oh, Leon lightly flicked Muin's forehead. Of course not. Later, the Academy secretly awarded me a medal, which I melted down and made into a gold bracelet for your grandmother. Rosvitha raised an eyebrow. Aren't you usually very concerned about honor and championships? You just melted it down like that. Leon shrugged. Some honors aren't meant to be flaunted. Rosvitha chuckled. Your stubbornness is as strong as that mule's. Then Rosvitha looked at Noya. So, are you planning to sign up? Well, although this family sports event is more for entertainment, and the results don't count towards our usual grades, but... Noya hesitated, as if considering how to phrase it. But it will still have rankings, distinguishing between first and second place, right? Rosvitha voiced her daughter's thoughts. Yes, Mom, I also want to get first place. Noya's determination for excellence surpassed that of ordinary young dragons by far. This trait wasn't solely inherited from Leon or Rosvitha, but was a combination of the competitive nature inherited from both this couple, or perhaps she just snatched it from Muin. It didn't matter. Anyway, Noya having such a strong competitive spirit isn't a bad thing. Leon and Rosvitha exchanged a glance, both nodding in agreement. They were both very supportive of participating in this family sports event, especially since their obsession with coming first was no weaker than Neuer's. "So when does it start?" Leon asked. "Next Saturday. The Academy has given us a week to prepare," Neuer replied, then turned her gaze to Leon. "Are you feeling okay?" Neuer still remembered Muen's comment on Monday when school started. When dad is weak, mom is strong. When mom is weak, dad is strong. She was somewhat worried that Leon's health might deteriorate again during the sports event. If that were to happen, she would be more concerned about this guy's health condition than his grades. Grades were important to her, but his health was even more crucial. Upon hearing Neuer's concern, Leon immediately patted his chest, making a pledge. "Don't worry, sweet daughter. Daddy is in good shape." Neuer asked skeptically, "Really?" "Absolutely. If you don't believe me, ask your mom." To ensure that Leon's physical strength remained within the range she could control, Risvitha regularly subjected him to an assessment. After each assessment, Leon's energy levels would be depleted for a few days, all absorbed by Risvitha. Recently, she had been diligently following this routine. It could only be said that the results were remarkable, and considering the time, Leon hadn't been assessed for 3 days straight, so his body had just recovered to a good level. Risvitha smiled knowingly. Your dad should be in great shape now." "Oh, I see. So you guys will be able to join me for the event, right?" "Of course." Can Muen participate?" Muen leaned in next to his sister, shaking her small hand. "Only up to 3 people, okay?" Neuer pinched her little sister's cheek. "Oh, okay." Seeing the little girl's drooping antennae, Leon's heart softened, and he patted her head. "But Muen can be the cheerleader." Muen's eyes lit up as she looked at her dad. "Yay, Muen will be the cheerleader." However, her cheers were short-lived, as confusion filled her big eyes. What's a cheerleader? Although she didn't know what it was, whatever Dad said must be a good thing. Let's pop the champagne first and figure it out later. That's just how the little dragon's mind works. Leon patiently explained, "A cheerleader is someone who cheers and supports. With Muen's encouragement, Mom, Dad, and Neuer will definitely achieve great results." "Wow, that's great. Muen will cheer enthusiastically for Dad, Mom, and sister." "Yes, if we all work together as a family, winning the sports event won't be a problem." "But the Academy still hasn't told us what specific events there will be," Neuer said. "Mom, do you know?" Risvitha nodded. "When I participated back then, it was endurance events for dragons, like racing, high jumping, and long jumping. But since this time the Academy specifically added family to the events might have changed accordingly, right?" "That makes sense," Neuer mused. Risvitha thought for a moment and continued, "Since the Academy has given us a week to prepare, during this week, we should not only practice some basic events but also focus on building teamwork and do some team-building exercises. What do you think?" Team-building exercises. This reminded Leon of the teamwork tests he and Risvitha had stayed up late to do before Neuer's entrance exams. Honestly, despite the animosity between humans and dragons, this couple was surprisingly high in sync. Even the completely unprepared interview back then managed to pass with the highest score, proving their teamwork. So for this family sports event, Leon and Risvitha were quite confident. "I think it's a good idea," Leon said. "I'm okay with it." "Mom, good, then let's start tomorrow. Rest well tonight." "Okay, Tilda." Neuer and Muen hopped off their chairs, hand in hand, and left the dining room. Risvitha stretched lazily, resting her chin on her hand, looking at Leon with a teasing smile. "Considering the date, shouldn't you be coming to my room tonight?" Leon rolled his eyes at her. "Can't you think of anything other than getting back at me? You yourself said we're starting training tomorrow. Don't you want me to rest up my body?" You sure have a way with words. Finally caught a chance to rest, huh?" Leon shrugged. "Mother Dragon, don't you want our daughter to perform well at the sports event?" Risvitha chuckled. "Don't try to sweet-talk me. Since you won't be coming to my room these past few days, you better make sure to train your body well, understand?" "I don't need you to tell me, I'll do it." "Don't underestimate it. Our dragon sports events are not as simple as you think," Risvitha reminded him. Leon smiled confidently, "And being dragon slayers isn't as simple as you think." "Okay, see you tomorrow." "Bye." The couple bid each other farewell and returned to their respective rooms. The next morning, before the 2 little ones even woke up, Leon and Risvitha were already at the practice track, warming up. Risvitha was still in her sleek and simple workout outfit, her long legs on full display. She had the classic clothes hanger body type, looking good in everything she wore. "The kids aren't up yet. Shall we run a couple of laps to warm up?" Risvitha suggested. "Sure, sounds good." The couple started jogging on the track, one behind the other. At first, Leon could keep up with Risvitha's pace, but as the laps increased, his stamina began to lag behind. Despite Leon having recovered to a relatively healthy level, after a few laps, he started to pant heavily. He leaned on his knees, gasping for air. He finally lay back on the grass. Leon closed his eyes, the sunlight shining on his face, allowing him to vaguely see the blood vessels beneath his eyelids. But the next moment, someone stood beside him, blocking out the sunlight. Leon opened his eyes, and a brilliant silver hair swayed gently before him. "What, can't handle it anymore?" Risvitha teased. "I didn't keep you up all night doing homework, did I?" "Don't talk nonsense, I'm just taking a break." "Tusk, I can see you're lacking motivation." Risvitha squatted down, arms wrapped around her legs, chin resting on her knees, her tail curling around the tip of her shoe. "How about I give you some?" "Give me something, motivation." "No, Nade, helping Noya get good grades is enough motivation for me." Risvitha narrowed her eyes and smiled. "The more the better, and I'm sure you won't refuse my proposal." Leon was intrigued. "Tell me about it." Risvitha gestured with her finger toward him. Leon leaned in, suspiciously. Risvitha cupped Leon's ears with her hands and whispered, "If you can get first place, I'll give you a week off." Leon was ecstatic. "Really?" Risvitha nodded, "Yes." With that said, Leon sprang up from the ground and shrugged off his jacket, then resumed his jogging. With the dual motivation from his daughter and wife, someone's desire for the championship had never been stronger. "The champion of the school sports meet must be from our family." Vol 1ch, 78. After the warm-up phase ended, Leon sat on the bench to rest. Risvitha had her hands stuffed in the pockets of her sportswear jacket as she walked towards him. Her ponytail swayed, giving her a lively and playful appearance. "Not bad, full of energy, all the joints and muscles are awake, right?" Risvitha stood beside him. "More than awake, it feels like I've been hit by a dragon's force." For Leon, the stimulating effect of the 7-day vacation was no less than that of a dragon's force. "Very well, then let's officially start trying some synchronized training." Leon shrugged, meaning bring it on. Risvitha pulled out a rope from the pocket of her sportswear. Leon's heart skipped a beat, and he unconsciously shifted his buttocks to the side of the chair. "What's this? Haven't had enough of the teacher's play, now you want to tie me up." Risvitha clicked her tongue lightly and slapped Leon's shoulder with the rope. "Ever heard of the two-legged race?" Leon nodded. "I've done this kind of training before at the Dragon Slayer Academy. The instructors said it could increase synchronicity between teammates. Although we still don't know what events the St. Hy's Academy's Family Sports Day will have, basic exercises like the two-legged race are still necessary to practice, don't you think?" "Okay, I have no objections." After a pause, Leon added, "Just don't mess up my rhythm later." "Haha, thanks for providing me with a morning joke." After exchanging a few more words, they tied their inner ankles together with the rope. Once they were tied, Leon straightened up, and Risvitha pressed close to his side. Although there was no obvious feeling before, being suddenly so close made the height difference between the two of them obvious. Risvitha, wearing her sports shoes, stood at about 1.72 meters tall, which was quite tall for a girl, but still fell short compared to Leon's stature. In their daily interactions as a couple, they usually maintained a certain distance and looked each other in the eye. Now, with their ankles touching and bodies pressed against each other, if Risvitha wanted to look into Leon's eyes, she had to lift her head slightly. It felt awkward for her. When had the Silver Dragon Queen ever looked up to someone? No, she couldn't raise her head. Look straight ahead, look straight ahead, look straight ahead. However, she wasn't the only one who noticed the height difference. Hey, Your Majesty, you've got some leaves on your head. I can see them very clearly. Want me to help you get rid of them?" Leon naturally wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. He had to tease Risvitha a bit. Risvitha closed her eyes and gritted her teeth. "No, thanks." "Are you sure you don't need help? Okay then." But Leon intended to continue teasing, aiming for a double kill. "Hey, Your Majesty, I've noticed you have 2 cowlicks. You know what they say, 1 calic is okay, but 2 is a sign of trouble. No wonder you, ouch. Before Leon could finish, Rosvitha lifted the leg they were tied together with. Leon lost his balance instantly, staggering and falling backward. Rosvitha squatted down leisurely, supporting her chin with one hand, shaking her head and teasing, "Tusk, tusk, tusk. Leon, being so tall but unable to stand firm, how can that be? Isn't it a waste of your height?" Leon got up from the ground, dusting off the dirt from his buttocks. "I won't stoop to your level. Let's settle this with a race." With that, Leon strode toward the practice field, but Rosvitha remained motionless. As Leon took a step forward, "Oops!" This time he stumbled forward. He quickly got up, rubbing his reddened nose. "Are you even paying attention, Rosvitha? Why did you move?" Rosvitha crossed her arms and pretended to realize suddenly, "Oh, we're starting now. Okay, my bad, I was lost in thought." Leon clicked his tongue, not bothering to argue further with her. The couple arrived at the central lawn of the practice field. Since it was their first time attempting the two-legged race together, and they were unsure of their synchronization, they decided to start on the relatively soft grass. But before they could start running, they encountered another issue. The side they were pressed together on made it uncomfortable for their arms, no matter how they positioned them. "Don't push me. You're the one pushing me." The former Silver Dragon Queen would never tolerate letting someone of the opposite sex get this close to her. It was only Leon who got this treatment. Anyone else would have been scorched to ashes by now, yet here he was, still saying, "Don't push." "I have an idea," Leon suddenly said. "What? Wait a minute." Before she could finish her sentence, Leon draped his inner arm over Rosvitha's back. However, because Rosvitha's back was too petite and Leon's arms were quite long, the excess palm of Leon's hand could only rest on Rosvitha's waist. That was Rosvitha's ticklish spot. The queen blushed, feeling embarrassed and helpless. She wanted to argue against Leon's approach, but after some thought, it seemed like the only posture that would allow them to proceed smoothly with the two-legged race. So Queen Rosvitha didn't hold back. She lifted her arm and draped it around Leon's waist. It felt unexpectedly broad and sturdy, with a fantastic texture. "I'll count 1 step with the outer leg. I'll count 2 step with the leg tied together, okay?" Leon said. "Got it. All right, ready, 2. "What, 2? Oops." Rosvitha hadn't reacted yet and nearly ended up doing a split. Luckily, her flexibility saved her, or else she might have pulled a ligament. She turned her head back in disbelief. "Why does your family count 2 before 1? "Why not?" someone asked innocently, wearing a full face of innocence. "You." Rosvitha adjusted her posture and immediately realized that Leon was clearly retaliating for the falls earlier. She didn't want to waste any more time arguing with him. They couldn't afford to delay their training. "Let's start with 1, seriously this time, no tickling," Rosvitha said. Leon nodded. The couple adjusted their starting positions again, each embracing the other's waist. "Ready, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. In the beginning they were quite in sync, with hardly any coordination issues, but as the pace increased, a slight dissonance emerged. Leon was slightly slower, while Rosvitha was a bit faster. They exchanged a glance, neither of them speaking, but the rhythm under their feet slowly returned to normal. Seeing this, they couldn't help but share a smile before quickly turning their heads away again. They ran 2 laps on the grass without a single fall. Their synchronization was quite impressive. They cooperated with each other, silently adjusting whenever they noticed a problem with the rhythm, even saving time by avoiding verbal communication. To be honest, few real couples could achieve this level of coordination. After practicing on the grass, they moved onto the hard track. Again, there were very few mistakes, and adjustments were made promptly. After a while, the couple sat on the grass to rest, also taking the opportunity to untie the rope binding them together. "Nice and simple," Leon chuckled. "HMPH, don't get too cocky. Next, you'll have to do some recovery exercises," Rosvitha said, nodding toward the side. "Let's do push-ups, 500 of them." How many?" 500, Rosvitha said. "What's wrong? For the strongest dragon slayer, isn't doing 500 push-ups just as easy as drinking water?" "Since you've put it that way, it would be impolite to refuse." Without hesitation, Leon replied, "Easy, watch me breeze through it." He rolled up his sleeves, ready to get started, but after doing a few, he heard Rosvitha say, "Wait a minute, just doing push-ups is too boring. Let me add some difficulty for you." "What are you up to now?" "Get ready." Leon got into the push-up position, hands on the ground. Risvitha stood up and slowly walked over. Then she sat on his lower back. Leon's arms trembled, not because Risvitha was too heavy, but because of the high-intensity assignments he had been doing recently, making his lower back very sensitive. With Risvitha's softer parts pressing against him, it felt a bit tingly. Risvitha sat sideways, her tail resting on Leon's shoulder. She gently poked his cheek with the tip of her tail. "Okay, let's begin." "You really know how to enjoy yourself," Leon gritted his teeth. But as long as there was a vacation, he would gain the power to retaliate against this dragon annoyance. Endure. 1, 2. It's not bad, not bad. 3. The bone density of dragons was much higher than that of humans of the same size, so they were much heavier. Why on earth did this world have to have such a setting? Did they ever anticipate a human doing push-ups with a dragon on his back? But Risvitha was just teasing Leon. After a few, she got off his back. The push-ups continued. 328, 329. Halfway through, Leon's arms trembled. He was pushing himself too hard in his current state. With over 100 more to go, he probably wouldn't be able to keep it up. "Can't go on, let me help you then." "How?" Risvitha chuckled and then lay down on the grass. She lifted one of Leon's arms and slid under him. The two of them were now face to face. Risvitha lay comfortably underneath, smirking at Leon. As they went up and down with the push-ups, Leon couldn't help but occasionally lose control of his descent. A few times, his nose even lightly brushed against Risvitha. Her enticing fragrance drifted into his nostrils. Risvitha lay there, her ponytail swaying to the side, her bangs scattered across her forehead, exuding a fresh and natural aura, like a girl full of vitality. "If you can't hold on, you'll end up kissing me. So think about it. Is it worth enduring the training, or would you rather have an intimate encounter with your least favorite dragon?" All right. Leon realized this wasn't about doing push-ups, it was about the dignity of a dragon slayer. "Damn dragoness, just wait until I finish my vacation, I'll show you." You should start a class," Leon said, struggling to do push-ups. "What kind of class?" How to train prisoners of war." Risvitha smirked. "I'll consider it." Risvitha squinted and smiled. "Aren't I already running a class? You're my only student. Leon tilde my tilde dear tilde student tilde."